All right, we're live. Let's go ahead and start sharing. Good God. Okay, here we go. I'll just give you a stock tip. I don't know if you want to act on this or not, but it does look like Vince McMahon is dumping a lot of salaries in order to sell the WWE. And I would say that one of the suitors is probably going to be NBC Universal. So if you have any exposure to either of those stocks, sell them immediately.
That might be a good fit for either of them. You know.
With the investment by Universal to put the WWE Network stuff on Peacock was seen kind of as a trial balloon to like, we'll go ahead and do this and we'll lease with the option to own. And they may end up taking the whole thing.
Well, I have a policy. I don't buy or sell based on takeover rumors. It's just a long-standing policy that I have because
we call it M&A. We call M&A as mergers and acquisitions.
Dangerous game. That is a dangerous game that you're playing when you do that.
I don't play the M&A game, but that's mergers and acquisitions. And I just don't get that. I don't buy and trade and sell on that sort of information there. All right, we really need to talk about Hunter Biden today because he's got a lot of legal problems that I think are not being addressed in the media. If we could just get into that.
You bring up the name Hunter Biden and I walk. Yeah.
Remember during the debates? What about my son, Beau Biden? What do you think of his service? I don't know about Beau so much. Hunter, I know. Coke snorting bastard. He sucks. Let's talk about that son.
All right. I'm having some jumpy problems.
Hello, people.
Let's try it again. All right, we're good.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, you're gonna love my opening.
I'm ready.
My opening card here. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. It's the Brad and Britt cast, our last one for this week. We're glad you've joined us here. And have you seen who the latest quote unquote celebrity is on Cameo? You know, where you get the celebrities to do a little 30-second video for you, for your wedding.
You've never done it, have you? You've never actually purchased a Cameo. I got one for my girlfriend last summer for this sci-fi show that she liked, this guy, and he did a tremendous job. I think it was like $40 or $45. He ad-libbed and everything.
He's one of the stars of the show?
Yeah, he's one of the guys on the show, and he was fantastic. I don't know. Who's the latest?
Well, see, I consider that a completely appropriate use of it. And by now, they have the guy. What a great idea, boy! That's one of those. Why didn't I think of that? But okay,
exactly.
He did it. We now present. If you would like to pay him $500, and this person obviously did, and I think it's about $800 if you want it within 24 hours. Donald Trump Jr.
Oh boy.
For some guy whose name I don't even know the guy's name, but you'll hear him talk about it. Here it comes. It's only about 30 seconds.
You got it?
Peter, this is Donald Trump Jr. I'm told that you're turning older than dirt, and I'm not that sorry about that because I'm also told that you're a serious lib. Fortunately for you, at least you have a family that has the sense to not be a lib and that they're full of Trump supporters. So that's pretty awesome. I've also heard about some of your fetishes. So you may be as sick as some of the people in the Biden family. That's just me. Who am I to judge? But I hope you have a good birthday regardless. And I hope your family rides you like Seabiscuit. Have a good one, man.
Okay.
If somebody that I knew had $500 to waste on that and did, I would be so disappointed. I would be so freaking disappointed that they wasted. Now, you see, I just put it up there, his page on Cameo. This is the bullshit. You see the direct message option for $20 if you're too cheap to pony over the 500. You know what that is?
Wait, he'll send you a text?
Yes. Which,
fuck.
Which is absolutely unverifiable. He's going to have some intern sending you a fucking text wishing you a happy birthday or, congratulations on your job promotion or congratulations on the twins or some shit like that. That is the stupid option, which I find is fake as hell, but some people do that.
Right. So here's the grift, because there's always a grift. Put that back up on the
absolutely
the screen so I can read it here. It tells you who Donald Trump Jr. is in case you don't know. It says he's executive vice president of the Trump Organization, father, patriot, outdoorsman, businessman, political commentator, and #1 New York Times bestselling author. A portion, here comes the grift, a portion of proceeds will be donated to Shadow Warriors Project. I don't know what that is. It must be some kind of veterans thing. But whenever someone says a portion, that can mean, as you know, 0.1%. So of $500, that would be like 50 cents out of 500. But the Trump this tells you how desperate they are for money.
Yeah.
Right. This tells you this is bottom of the barrel stuff for people who supposedly are fairly well heeled. And that's the intrigue for folks like us going forward here, watching what's going to happen in New York and Georgia, where Trump is also being investigated very, very heavily for election interference, right? In those famous phone calls to the Secretary of State. He's in trouble. And they've got his tax returns. That's not an issue anymore. He couldn't stop it. They got his tax returns in New York. And two things can't exist at once. You can't be a multi-billionaire and your family can't be made up of really rich children worth a lot of money, right? Because they've been raking it in from the old man for all these years now. And then at this moment in time have to do Cameo video birthday greetings for $500 a hit. You're either really rich and you don't need to do that, or you're not really rich. And gee, could they have been lying all this time? And they're not, and they're bleeding money now so badly that they're really upside down. It seems that way, right? It has to be that way. It couldn't be anything other than that. They are poor. They are now desperate. This is it. Let's call it what it is.
Do you put it beyond the old man to look at this and go, I should do this? The old man, he could have set his price at $5,000 and see what it is, and then he'll do 60-second greetings or something like that. Do you think the old man would ever do it?
He might do that, but the question is why?
Because he's broke, just like you said.
He's broke.
He's broke.
That's the answer.
He doesn't have any money.
Right.
I don't think Mark
Right.
Cuban is doing this. I don't think Steve Ballmer is doing this.
Nope.
I don't think Bill Gates is doing this.
Nope.
I don't think Jeff Bezos is doing this.
Nope, not
None
doing it.
None of these
Nope.
people are doing this shit. Like even Elon Musk, as crazy as shit as he is, I don't.
Not doing
Okay,
it.
so I'm looking at the Shadow Warriors statement. Shadow Warriors Project is a foundation dedicated to the support of private military security contractors conducting paramilitary security operations in some of the world's most dangerous.
What? That's like what's her name's Eric Prince. Those are mercenaries.
Remember that Blackfoot operation? That Blackfoot
Yes.
operation in Eastern North Carolina was doing all that shit, all that
They're
wet
fucking
work.
mercenaries.
Yeah.
These are militias. These are
Soldiers-
militia groups. Shadow
Soldiers of
warriors.
fortune. Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's even worse. It's even worse than we thought.
It is the only
I'm
charity
glad
of
you
its
looked that up.
kind. Although the private security contractor has served in the military, he was considered a civilian, Brad, and does not receive the same support offered to injured active military or veterans. That's what their website says about their mission statement.
Fuckface. If you're going to be playing soldier after you're out of the service, it's on you. I'm not giving you any money. Shadow warriors. Yeah, but they're organizing to probably overthrow the government.
Probably.
Right? They're organizing the next January 6th, shadow fucking warriors.
Well, the good news is, even with his fake charity, like you said, he's probably not giving him anything. There's certain celebrities on there, like if you saw David Arquette or the guy they just did the biography for on A&E, Mick Foley, the former WWE superstar. If they said a portion of these proceeds are going to go to charity, you go, yes, Mick Foley's doing that. David Arquette's doing it. If Donald Trump Jr. says it, you're like, no, he's not. Forget it.
How about this? For if things were as they were purported to be? We're the Trump family. We're really rich. I'm going to do this, and 100% of all the proceeds are going to go to a legitimate charity, which I just didn't set up 2 weeks ago,
right,
to scam. It's going to go to, and there will be auditing of it. So go ahead. And what I just said is so far away from the reality of what we just found out about Trump. Oh my God.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
That's pretty funny. Hey, as we head into the weekend, a lot of people are looking for something to watch in terms of streaming. And of course, you always have great streaming suggestions. Do you have any great streaming suggestions for us, Brad, over the weekend, the things that we can look into?
I have none. But right now, we're about a little bit more than halfway through the 5 seasons of the show This Is Us.
Right.
A major hit on NBC that won all the Emmys. It's the kind of show that won so many Emmys that people were pissed at it. Why do they win everything? Right? There were a couple years there where they just won everything. Okay. And the amazing thing was that was when Netflix and was starting to win all this shit. But NBC had one show that was, all right, so it's a big show. We never watched it. So, okay, here we go. This show is the most manipulative, annoying soap opera in the history of television. And an episode that we watched last night, I almost got my wife to throw in the towel on the whole thing, because the opening sequence is, and of course, one of the stars of the show is the lovely and talented Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore.
Fantastic.
And the opening scene, and now they're well into the 3rd season, so you know what's going on. Everything is drama. Everything is tears. Everything is a crisis. Everything is horrible. Shit you're finding out about everybody's life. It was the word blah, 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 blah. And the opening scene is just her face with a tear coming down her face. Oh, shit. And they pull back 30 seconds later. She's cutting an onion.
What the fuck is
that? No, you cannot do that. No, you can't do that. You can't do that shit.
Oh, you don't get it though. They're making fun of themselves, Brad. It's kind of an intro.
No,
they're navel gazing.
No, they're making fun of you. They're making fun of me for hooking in to this family drama that spans generation. No, you don't get to play the opening scene of a tear coming down the face of someone whose life is 7 different directions. Shit's happening to her. Her husband gets killed. No, you don't get to play the tear come and then she's cutting an onion for Thanksgiving. No. Get out of my life. And we look forward to the next episode tonight.
Mandy Moore is just delightful. Like, even if you really want to work up a lather and not like her, it's really hard to. She's a terribly likable person. She's got a great personality. She's a pretty good actor. She's a great singer.
Well, but no, she didn't write the didn't write the script. I'm not tagging her, although it wouldn't be a bad idea. Right here.
I see what you did. Yeah. Does she now? What happens in this this series to Mandy Moore? Does she miscarry? Does she lose a husband? What happens? I forget.
No, I don't want. No, there's nothing more to say about it. That was just the moment. That's. I don't want to talk about the show. There is nothing more boring. No, there is nothing more boring, Britt, than people telling other people about what's on fucking shows that they're watching. Don't do it. I'm not doing it. Not going.
If you could save one person,
pick anything. We'll go back to Don Jr. I don't care. We're not talking about what happened on the show. I'm just.
The point is that if you can save one person from the quagmire that you're personally right now involved in, see, the hell that is Brad Krantz's life right now is he goes from one show being engulfed and involved in it to another show and he just can't get out. He just got done with Nashville and all of a sudden there's everything's fine. I can breathe for a second. I'm not done with talking about all the, oh my God. And then here's this, and this is like the quagmire of all quagmires.
I think I've said enough about it. It's up to anybody who wants to see it. It's available. You have to have Hulu. They've got it. And that's it. All right, let's pick something else here. Okay, I got it. I got a perfecta here, which of course is picking the horses, in first and second place, and the perfecta involves one person in common with Texas and California. Ready?
Joe Rogan.
No. This is the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. He's running for re-election. He's a crook. He's a criminal. He's been under fucking indictment since day one, since he's been the Attorney General of Texas for about 6 years. Just a total criminal. You got to lock him up, right? Mm-hmm. And he apparently is going to be running in his primary. That's the Republicans in Texas. And the Republicans win every office statewide in Texas. They have for about 25 years. You just can't win if you're a Democrat. And he's running against George P., as in Pissant, Bush, who is the son of Jeb Bush, or as Poppy Bush used to call him, the brown one.
It's Prescott. It's Prescott. That is the gentleman's middle name,
it's
not
Pussy.
It's not Pussy. It's Prescott, which I believe is a family name. And by the way, probably the best looking of all the Bushes for like 30 years now. He's a good looking guy.
Yeah. So, George P. Bush is the only member of the Bush family who's a Trumper, right? Yeah. He's completely in the tank.
Didn't it take him a while? Didn't he push his food around the plate for a while before he finally bought in?
It doesn't really matter. It's right now.
It's where you ended up. Yeah.
George W. Bush can't stand Trump for good reason. Jeb Bush can't stand Trump for good reason. Barbara Bush hated Trump, obviously. George H.W. Bush had no time for none of them have time for Donald Trump, and for good reason. And there's a lot you can say, good and bad, about the Bush family, but you can't accuse them of not being patriotic Americans.
Sure.
And we know the story. They're on the right side here. But is he the brown sheep of the family? What would you call him? George P. Bush. And he's decided that in Texas, where the Bush name sort of used to be a good calling card, I'm not sure whether it is anymore.
No,
because Trump has been trashing the family, right, for all these years.
Oh, yeah.
And Texas is a Trump state. So you have to choose now between George P. Bush or the corrupt incumbent Attorney General Ken Paxton. And that's a really cool, interesting race of, do you vote for this piece of shit or that piece of shit? Do you vote for the suck up to Donald Trump who just came along, or do you vote for the incumbent suck up to Donald Trump? Because Paxton is, completely in the tank for Trump too. So this is what we've always thought would happen somewhere. It would literally be a contest between people to see who can be the most solicitous, who can be the biggest bootlicker, ass kisser to Donald Trump for a particular office. And this is a high profile one. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it is in Texas. Now,
well, George P. Bush has been a guy that's been touted as the next coming for 20 years now, as far as I can remember, because they were always like, well, he's just, and he would get these offices in Texas, like Office of Land Management, right?
Well, the land commissioner gig in Texas is a big deal job.
Right.
It actually is a big deal job.
And they were always setting him up, and they were always talking about he's going to run for this, he's going to run for that, he's going to run for the other, and he just never really panned out. But now, like you said, he sees the fast lane with Donald John Trump to glory. That's what he sees.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
I mean, I suppose it could work in Texas, but I don't know. But, like you said, this Paxton guy seems to be, you're right. It's not a great choice for folks in Texas at this moment. I would hope there's some sort of other alternative for them.
All right. So that's the Texas version of a story that involves Ken Paxton. Here is a story from California, and it combines Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, cancel culture, and law school, all wrapped up into one neat ball. They're going to have law school graduation at Stanford a few weeks ago, but one guy was going to be denied graduation because right after January 6th, he put out a clearly undeniable, very funny, satirical posting that said this. And remember, the Federalist Society, those are the super right-wingers who spit out judges for conservatives and for Trump to nominate. I mean, the Federalists, they produce the shitty right-wing law that's what they're all about.
They keep a list. It's kind of like the 5-star recruits for college. They've got those guys at any given moment. If you need a judge, they'll pull out the list and go, this guy, this woman, that's what they'll do.
All right. So the guy's name is Nicholas Wallace. So he's finished his third year of law school. He's about to graduate from Stanford. And this is what he writes. Please join the Stanford Federalist Society as we welcome Senator Joshua Hawley and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to discuss violent insurrection. So this is a couple days after January 6th. Violent insurrection, also known as doing a coup, is a classical system of installing a government. Although widely believed to conflict in every way with the rule of law, violent insurrection can be an effective approach to upholding the principle of limited government. Senator Hawley will argue that the ends justify the means. Attorney General Paxton will explain that when the Supreme Court refuses to exercise its Article H1 authority to overturn the results of a free and fair election, calling on a violent mob to storm the Capitol represents an appropriate alternative remedy. Okay, so he puts this out there, and what happens? The Federalist Society, we are offended. You have insulted our good name. Oh my God.
So they protest and they raise hell and they cry.
Next thing you know, Stanford. Wait, let me finish. Stanford Law School gives in and says this guy can't graduate now because of what he's done. Now, this is clearly, although it's not the government, it's not a First Amendment case class, it kind of is. You're saying that, of course, satire, which is protected by the First Amendment, which this clearly is, was just so far beyond the pale that you're going to deny this guy his law degree. Well, there was an outcry. People went fucking nuts, and Stanford Law School backed down, and the guy did get his degree. He did get his degree after all. He's going to be able to graduate. But isn't it really interesting to see, and we talk about this at various levels over different periods of time, that conservatives and comedy never mix.
Mhm.
They don't get the joke. They never get the joke. They can never laugh at themselves. They're not allowed. They can't do it.
In some
Can't be
ways,
done.
Brad, you might say they were trying to cancel this guy's law degree.
Of course. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
There's
Sure.
your cancel culture right
Of
there,
course it is.
assholes.
Of course it. But I think the worst part, you might expect this out of conservatives. You might expect this from the Federalist Society. But this is Stanford Law School, which is the West Coast Harvard or Yale, filled with a bunch of libs.
Mm.
Who decided? Who is part of that regime that pulled the plug on this guy's right to graduate for a while until they finally caved in? To me, that's kind of a parallel sister story to what's going on at UNC.
Yeah.
UNC with denying the New York Times writer who was hired, supposedly tenured, to teach at the journalism school, and then they pulled the thing back and said, no tenure. Here's a 5-year deal. Take it or leave it. And the only reason that they're pulling it back, forget everything you read, everything that they're saying, everything that the university was saying, that this is because we don't want someone using their agenda, blah blah, all this other, the biggest donor to that journalism school is this asshole who gave $25 million, who apparently was considered a pretty good guy. And suddenly on this issue, he decided that the idea that you need to be teaching that just maybe racism and slavery and all these kinds of things were really an important part of American. That's a bad idea. Don't go there. We don't want to go there. And what's his name? Hussman? I think his name is Hussman. Gave the $25 million. That just feels similar to what happened out there at Stanford. It's a different story, but
it is. But it's very similar. I mean, Nicole Hannah-Jones apparently has won a Genius Grant from the MacArthur Foundation. She's won a Peabody Award. She's won a Pulitzer Prize in commentary. But again, like, this controversy is kicked up at the University of North Carolina, as you mentioned right now. It's kind of been a big deal for a little while now, and nobody, like you said, it's one guy who just apparently got his knickers in a twist.
Right, it's one guy, and of course, if you do enough reading about it, you go, well, it's Phil Berger. It's the North Carolina legislature that did this, and you know what? That's 100% true.
Yeah,
we know that the University of North Carolina for the last 10 years has been slowly but surely been dismantled intellectually by conservatives who just can't stand the fact that people learn shit there. I don't know. They can't handle it. They can't handle
the conservative war against the University of North Carolina goes back many years, including, remember, Jesse Helms calling it the University of Negroes and Communists back in the day.
I agree. Right. There was a piece the other day that I read. Oh, this goes back at least 10 years. No, it doesn't. It goes back fucking 60, 70 years.
60 or
it goes
70.
back to Frank Porter Graham in 1950. Okay, it goes back to Jesse Helms on WRAL TV doing commentaries in the 60s, saying it's the University of Negroes and Communists.
That's right. When all that stuff was happening, when those protests were happening with the student protests back in the 60s, it was a burr in the bonnet of a lot of conservatives. That this stuff was being fostered at places like the University of North Carolina, and it just they couldn't stand it. I think Jesse had some sort of commentary once that said they should turn Chapel Hill into a zoo and put a fence around it, and people should just come look at the animals or something like that. Which, by the way, that's not racially tinged at all. I don't want you to think that it is.
No,
I mean,
it's just a thing. It's not about race, Britt. It's never about race.
It's never about that whatsoever. About We've seen controversies at the University of North Carolina over the past few years, including a Confederate monument, which a lot of people were very upset that was going to be moved on campus. I mean, this sort of stuff.
Wait a minute. I got it. So the Confederate that statue should get tenure. But Hannah, no tenure.
That whole controversy a few years, I guess it was about 3 years ago, they finally found a letter from that Carr guy. I think was his name Julian Carr? Was he the guy who gave the speech when they dedicated the thing? And he talked
isn't
about
it still there? Isn't the thing still there?
I thought they had moved. I don't know what they went back and forth, and we're going to put it here, and it's going to be in a warehouse. No, we're going to put it here. I don't know what the resolution was.
I think it's at an Airbnb in Wilmington right now.
That may be where it is. So they pull out this speech that this Carr guy makes when they dedicate the statue. It talks about how one day he was walking down the street and a Negro woman sassed him and he beat the shit out of her. And people went, oh, now that I think of it, maybe this whole thing is racial.
Britt, how many stories are similar to that? Because the Tulsa story apparently started because a kid was in an elevator or something with a white woman and allegedly, and he didn't, but let's put it this way. Let's say the worst was true. Let's say a black kid did rape a white woman in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 1920. Okay. The worst crime ever.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that justifies the carpet bombing of 35 square blocks of a city.
Well, what did Medgar Evers allegedly do? Like, he whistled at a woman allegedly, and that's been disputed, right? And he had to be murdered, like, in the most brutal way possible.
No, not Medgar Evers. Emmett Till.
Sorry, I apologize.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, I can understand, Britt, because they're all.
Yeah, that's right. Well, again, but they're just making up these slights toward white people, and of course, if you do anything to a white person, you do anything to a
inadvertently guilty of racism when trying to point out racism.
It's so weird, isn't it? It's so odd how that happened. But they're both victims. But Emmett Till, supposedly wolf whistled at a white woman, which has again been disputed many times, and he was beaten to death. He was killed in the most brutal way possible. So yeah, I mean that's what happens. If you do anything against a white person, immediately they are allowed to kill 150 million of whoever you are. That essentially is that's the ratio, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, I think what should be your favorite story of the day. You must have seen it.
Yeah. Go for it.
Coming back, the USFL.
Yeah, I saw this. Yeah. I don't know.
It's real?
I think it's real, but I think it's going to be really awful. I would like to remember such great franchises of the Michigan Panthers, the Denver Gold, and the Oakland Invaders as they were. Leave the memories alone, people.
The Houston Gamblers, and of course, Trump owned the New Jersey Generals. And hey, you know what? This gives him a chance. To sign Tim Tebow.
Yeah, well,
right.
No,
he'll be 39 by then.
Look, they're just going to make you a tight end. I'll let you be the starting quarterback, the general manager, and the coach. I'll let you do it all. It doesn't matter to me. I'm out of it. You're the man. We'll call them the New Jersey Jesuses. Are you with me, Timmy? Come on, touchdown, Timmy. Be on board.
Right. So it says here they've already got a deal with Fox for TV, and
I don't know. I don't know who owns the intellectual property for that league, but they sell USFL stuff on Amazon.
They're able to use the same names. They're able to bring back the names.
They've still got the original, all the shirts and stuff you've been able to buy on Amazon for years. So if you were a huge Boston Breakers, if you were a big fan, you would be able to grab some of those T-shirts immediately.
Mm-hmm. But this is perfect symmetry because it was the Trump lawsuit that wrecked whatever was left of the USFL at that time.
Two things. First of all, he insisted they play in the fall, which was death. That was the worst. If they would have there are a lot of people that say if they would have just played in the spring, they would have continued to go on forever and ever. They would have been perfectly fine.
Don't you think this would be the perfect ending for him to pretend that he was a sports owner at this age and pretend, because it would all be fraudulent, like everything with him.
Yeah.
And he would pretend that whatever they do playing football in the spring when no one really gives a fuck about football, that it's bigger than he would go grandiose.
Oh yeah.
On the news conferences and everything.
He's going to try to
be ridiculous. So it's almost almost want it to happen.
Well, you almost kind of think that if he gets involved, it's going to be the right-wing alternative to the NFL. We won't have kneeling black folks over here. That's going to be for them. We're going to have people that love America with our sport. We're going to keep the politics out of it. And Lee Greenwood will sing, he'll sing before every game and all that other shit.
Yeah, Britt. Only people like that would say we're going to keep politics out of it, and you're not allowed to kneel. That's not keeping politics out of it. But okay.
And we don't give a shit about any concussion protocol. You saw the NFL story where they've decided now, as part of their protocol, they're not going to take for granted that the cognitive baseline for black folks is lower than white people. That's what they've just decided. That's what the National Football League has decided. As part of their protocols, they were like, well, the black guys, they're kind of down here, and the white folks start from up here. So if a black guy comes off the field and he's down here as far as his cognitive, then he's where he should be.
See,
so he's fine.
That could be the all-time example of systematic racism.
Oh my God.
There's a major sport there, okay, but it's into a business where the business model just assumes, and this is probably a policy that was around, right, going back to the 1940s,
probably
when the first black players were playing in the NFL. I think they first started playing in the 40s, and nobody ever decided to change it. Nobody challenged it. Nobody batted an eyelash.
No, we did it that way because we do it that way because we've always done it that way.
Right. Which is always a good reason to do terrible things because you've always done them that way.
Tradition. If there's not a better reason to continue to do bullshit than tradition, I don't know what this country's coming to. We need to continue not to examine anything and just continue to do shit because we've always done it that way. What's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk about the Wuhan thing because this has been the victory lap among the Fox News crowd and others for like a week now, right? They've got this has been unbelievable, correct?
Yeah. And I'm not quite sure what the celebration is. I guess the celebration is that because Donald Trump has been a lying, prevaricating, obfuscating, distorting piece of shit his entire life.
Right.
That at the beginning of 2020, when the coronavirus was starting to come forth and we didn't know the origin of it, and he decided for purely political reasons to go 100% all in and call it the Kung Flu. And the Chinese did it on purpose, and they're not coming clean. And this will help me get reelected by saying this over and over and over again. The reflexive response by crazy people like us was, well, it's Donald Trump saying it. So therefore, how and why would we automatically assume at any level that it is true? So he was the proverbial broken clock here. It was that one time a day where it turns out he might have been right at that time, but I don't think we're ever going to definitively know. The Chinese weren't cooperating with us then. They're not going to cooperate with us now, and they're not going to cooperate with us in the future for the same reason that Republicans don't want an investigation by a commission into what happened on January 6th, because they can't handle the truth and they don't want to have to handle the truth. And therefore, to suddenly say that because people like us now and even Dr. Fauci and other people are more open to the idea that it really may have been originating in a lab and inadvertently got out by mistake. I don't think anybody's saying that they did this on purpose, because that would be kind of stupid. Why would you on purpose start a plague in one of your biggest cities? I mean, you might want to start it somewhere else. You might want to go start it in New York. You want to let it go somewhere else. But okay, so if that's your idea of victory over the libs, you've owned the libs now because it's now considered possible, maybe even on an equal footing, because it's very difficult to track down the original bat in the middle of China that may have transmitted this, or the pig or whatever fucking animal had it.
Right.
That this is your idea of the greatest victory over the liberal media and Democrat ever. This is what they've got, Britt. And by the way,
owning the libs.
Right. This is owning the libs. And by the way, whether China fucked up in their lab and it got out there, or whether it came from a farm somewhere, that has nothing to do with the way Donald Trump responded in public to the safety and welfare of the American people all the way through. The only thing that he did right, and I'm sure if we could find out the truth, he barely had anything to do with Operation Warp Speed. Someone probably walked into his office, people, and said, we probably should stockpile vaccines.
Cool.
In case one of them is the right one.
What do you want to call it?
Okay, go do it. Okay.
We have a number of names.
Right. This is not a decision that Truman had whether to drop the bomb or not.
No.
It wasn't an agonizing thing on whether to stockpile vaccines that were likely to work.
Well, one thing that you kind of tap danced past when he decided to call it the Kung flu and the China flu and all that stuff. True or false? Part of that is contributing to the violence we're seeing against Asian Americans today, because I think that's pretty obvious.
Now, Britt, there's no evidence of that. None. I want you to take that back. Why are you attacking this two-time impeached retiree and failed blogger in Florida? Why are you going after him that way?
There's an international food store that I go to in town, and there's a couple of really good ones here, but this is one of the larger ones. And I go in there and they cater. It's a lot of Asian stuff, but they have stuff from all over the world, but there's a lot of Asian folks that work in there. And I wonder, when I walk through the door as a 6'1", 200-pound white guy, if they think I'm coming to murder them. You know, I wonder that as I come through the door now, because all of these things have popped up across the country. This violence against Asian folks in New York, not only in places where the population is huge, where they have large Asian populations like New York and San Francisco, but it's happened really all over the place, right? There's been a lot of violence against a lot of those.
I think you're a little double reverse skittish.
Maybe
if you're worried that when you walk into an Asian store, that you're worried that they're worried that you're going to kill them. I don't think that's. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the MAGA hat on.
Well, you can say, well, I don't know. Okay, but you know what? You better fucking wear a mask forever too. I mean, that's the same logic. No,
I will wear a mask.
Everybody isn't afraid of everybody right now. It's not quite.
Would you blame them if they thought that though? If that's what they thought, would you blame them?
If I looked like you,
right.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. But that's because it's you. It's not because you're white. Look at you. You're a disaster. You're just a fucking. You look like fucking Nanook of the North with a North Carolina hat on, with a Chapel Hill hat. Jesus Christ! You know what? I'm scared of you, and I'm not even. I'm 20 miles away from you. I'm afraid of you.
But this victory lap that's being taken by the folks who, we told you so. Oh, we told you so. And then, as I said earlier this week,
right. So what's the payoff? What's the payoff for we told you so? So now everything Donald Trump ever purports to say, I guess that's proof that he was robbed of the election, right? That's where this is really going.
Not only that, but when he comes back, when the big comeback happens in 2024, don't let people tell you that he was a terrible president. Because look, he was right about this, and this. I think that's the play. And in 2022, when the Republicans are back up and he's stumping for assholes across the country, and they go, well, they didn't believe in me, and I told you Laura Ingraham the other night had another bite at the apple on hydroxychloroquine. She had a doctor on with some new studies purporting, wow, this stuff really does work. And what dickheads you were for getting this stupid vaccine. You should have just taken this hydroxychloroquine. It would have been so much better for you.
Well, wait, and pardon me, I shouldn't even give any oxygen to the concept, but what is the reasoning now that there's a vaccine that really blocks the virus at a 90, who knows, almost 100% rate, and keeps you from getting deathly ill, keeps you out of the hospital. What justification is there for using the H word? And that was a treatment after you got it, right?
Correct.
That was
Yes.
supposed to so
therapeutic.
So hang on. Is this addressing vaccine deniers and people who refuse to get the vaccine? Don't worry about getting coronavirus because this shit really does work as a treatment afterwards. Is that the argument that they're making?
I think the play on this is they made you take this vaccine. This vaccine is dangerous and they won't tell you about it. And all you really had to do was take this stuff that Donald Trump told you to take a year ago. You would have been just fine, but they had to smack down Donald Trump because they had to try to minimize him and undermine him. I think that's their play.
So they're selling this as an actual vaccine.
Yeah,
right?
like something you could take instead of getting the vaccine.
Again, this is so stupid and so irresponsible.
Right.
And by the way, I have a reading assignment for you, and we should probably put this up on our Facebook pages and link. There is a column today in the New York Times about France, and I'll go France. Well, guess what? France has been Americanized. Their politics has been completely Americanized. Culture wars are alive and well in France. And guess what? There's a fucking French Fox News now with French fucking Sean Hannity's on there. People who've been convicted of all kinds of crimes who are on TV in France every night. And they have, it's almost as if they flew to the United States or just watched it on satellite for years and said, this is what we're going to do. This is a great way to do things. The column is called France is Becoming More Like America. It's terrible. It's a great column. It's worth reading.
So the guy, the French Sean Hannity is like Sean Hannity, except even more pretentious. Is that what we're supposed to believe?
I think it's possible.
Is that possible?
Okay, I know. Are you going to be? Are you going to be really better than Michael Jordan, or is the next one? No. Okay, it's hard. It's hard when
the French version of the French version of Mike Lindell is the mywine.com guy. He's going to be that guy.
Yeah, myskunk.com. All right, have a happy and the rest. And next week, at the beginning of the week, Britt, you and I will report on our first venture together. I haven't seen you for over a year.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go to a baseball game together.
We're gonna drink a beer and we're gonna eat a hot dog and we're gonna say, fuck you, Joe Biden, for trying to shut me down from doing this, because that's what he tried to do.
Exactly.
That's exactly what
we're
happened.
Gonna show him. We're gonna own the libs this weekend. And
in your face, stuttering Joe.
Yeah. All right. That'll be Monday. See you.